My name is Ayodele Alabi. I'm the founder of the Happiest Girl in the Room, which started as a book but has now grown into something much more. I was told to come and speak on returning to yourself from the lens of lived experiences. So I'm going to try and do justice to that. And I'll tell you a story about myself and how the Happiest Girl in the Room brand actually started. I would say I've always been a happy person. I've always been a happy child growing up, because I won't say that it's because life was perfect for us growing up. I just think that my parents did a very good job of shielding us from whatever struggles that they were going through. So fast forward a few years ago, I think 7 years to be exact, I lost my husband. At that time, my daughter was about 4 months and my son was 2 years old. And it was like the worst thing that could happen to me. And the thing about people that are always very happy and very cheerful is when something devastating happens, it really takes a toll on you because you've not built that resilience or built that scaffolding to hold that kind of thing. So when this happened to me about 7 years ago, I went, to a very dark place. I hit rock bottom. I couldn't understand. It was like a dream. I kept telling myself, oh, I'll wake up from this dream one time. I'll pinch myself. Oh, I'll soon wake up. I'll soon wake up. But every day I kept waking up to that reality that my life had changed in a way that I didn't consent to. I was struggling to breathe for almost 3 years of my life. That's how I was living. I don't know how else to describe it, but it seemed like I had this rock that was just sat on my chest. At that time, I was working at a very great organization. They had sent me a grief therapist at the time, but I wasn't able to open up to the therapist. She would come to my home and she would ask me all sorts of questions. And I was just looking at her like, what's this man saying? Like, where do I want to start from? Now fast forward a year, because I think I'd done a year just living on autopilot. And I started to have real life trances. Like I would just be somewhere. I could be here seated and I would have gone somewhere else. And I started to find myself in the midst of people who are crying, who are wailing, who are grieving. And at that time, I started dropping balls at work as well. And my boss noticed. And she was like, are you okay? And then I shared with her what I was going through. And she was like, maybe this is now the time that you need that therapist. And so I went to therapy again the second time. And just like the first time, it was the same thing. The first doctor couldn't get through to me. Somebody tell your neighbor, please accept help. Tell your neighbor, please accept help. Because I think that in this part of the world, we struggle with saying that something is wrong with us and with accepting help. So it's very important because the woman will ask me all the questions in the world and I will just be looking at her like, what do I want to start? You know what? Don't worry, I'll deal with this somehow. But of course, I wasn't dealing with this. After we had about 3 sessions, then she referred me to her a superior doctor. And then I got to the doctor again. We started the same cycle again. Like with this woman, then this one, it was very blunt with me. And it's like, do you really like how you're feeling? Why are you here? And I'm like, I'm here because they said I should come. They said you should come, or you want to get better. Which one? It is intentional. Nobody can hold, as I say, you can take a horse to the stream, but you cannot force the horse to drink water. So healing, or whatever it is that you're going through, it starts with you. So the doctor had to make me say myself that I was ready to kickstart my healing process. And when I got to that realization, and I said, you know what, I actually don't like feeling this way. I don't like feeling, in fact, I'm a naturally dark-skinned person, but I had this black scale that covered me. Also from the grief and the hurt and everything. So I said, okay, what can happen? Let me just go through this process. And that was it, right? I started to open up to the good doctor, to my therapist, and he asked me a couple of questions like, who are you? Who are you? Because the thing is, grief also changes you. The person you were before grief is not the person that came out of it. So I had to find myself again. I had to do a lot of work. And I think that the message I want to leave with everybody here is you can always go back to yourself. Whatever it is that you're going through right now, the first thing is to not fuse your challenge with your identity. And that's a big reason why I struggle with the word widow. I don't like when people call me, oh, she's a widow. No, I would not be defined by one singular occurrence in my life. And it's just something that happened to me, and I don't fuse my identity with it. I'm someone who lost a husband, but that's not who I am. That's not everything that I am. I'm an author, I'm a writer, I'm a mother, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm so many other things. So that's the mindset that I want everybody to go with. If you are in a challenge right now, you need to understand that you are not your challenge. Whatever it is that you're going through is not you. You need to unfuse yourself from it, and that's the first step to dealing with it. The second step is actually then taking the time to do the work. For me, returning to myself was me first laying down my ego and my pride to accept help, to know that, oh, I can't do this by myself. I needed therapy. I needed support with my family, and even with my children. And once I started to accept that, it was able to, find out myself again, find the things that make me happy again, and just accept the reality that this may not be the life that I wanted, but this was the life I had, and I had to, make do with it and live it to the fullest despite everything. And I wanted to set a good example for my children so that they understand that no matter what they face in life, they can always overcome. So my challenge to you is, no matter what you face in life, you can always overcome. You can always return to yourself, and the self you're returning to will always be a better version of the one that was before. Thank you very much.